Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. And today I want to talk about the story mode because I really think it has a lot of potential to improve in the future. And I also think that it has a really strong chance of bringing us something that we've been wanting forever, which is a rework to key iconic characters like the Asgardians. But before we get into that, I do want to just quickly go back and cover some of the responses to yesterday's video about my speculation on the possibility of World Boss Invasion or Shadowland being sort of changed, possibly nerfed, possibly removed in the case of World Boss Invasion because of these recent changes in this latest update that have really skyrocketed the number of bios that we can farm for some characters, not all. Now, for those of you that have been with the channel for a long time, those of you guys that have watched for me for 2-3 years and counting, you rock with me. You understand that those videos are just speculation and that I'm just sort of like a guy who really likes this game and wants to just share every idea that I have with you. I'm not necessarily co-signing every idea that I bring to you in a video. I'm not saying that I support the idea or I want it to happen, but I'm just sort of like throwing stuff out there. I'm just like, the guy who just wants to talk about stuff, whether they agree with it or not, sort of like sometimes playing devil's advocate, whatever. And I guess that's something that I didn't really make clear, or I didn't put that point across well enough for people who are newer to the channel or who just weren't, with it that day and didn't see that that's what I was trying to do. So for those people who didn't quite see that, my bad. I'm not saying that I want them to take away the bio selectors from Shadowland. I'm not trying to nerf the farmability of certain characters. I'm not trying to make certain characters harder to farm or rarer, like Molten Man or Minerva or Dr. Voodoo. But I'm just sort of vibing off of changes that the game has made recently and sort of trying to figure out what the end goal is. If certain things start happening in a certain direction, it usually means that there's something else coming later on down the road. If you start to see a bunch of cracks and the road starts to get uneven, you might want to pull over because maybe there's a big pothole up ahead or something like that. So that's just sort of my way of approaching things, and that's how I presented it to you guys. I may have sounded more supportive of it than I intended to. To be honest with you, I don't really care if they delete World Boss Invasion because, like I said, I think the game mode is more loading screens than actual content. I still love Shadowland and I still play it every single week, even though sometimes I forget to play it all the way to the end and I run out of time. But I at least get to like stage 50, 60 every single week. And I have since it came out. I'm a diehard Shadowland fan. But I do think that the game needs to trim some fat in terms of content that is not very fun and very repetitive. And Shadowland can be a bit repetitive at times. That is true. But what is also true and what can't be refuted is that we've gotten a lot more bios. I mean, 2020 has started off with a bio gold rush, and I don't think enough players are really, stopping and appreciating it. So I want to bust it down for you, Tatiana, real quick. In this case, I'm Tatiana or whatever, Titania. So first of all, before we bust down anything, I also want to refute the point very quickly that someone said there's so many native tier 2s being released. No, that's completely wrong. Now, they may have meant it in a different way, or they may have just meant that there are a lot of native tier 2s in the game, and yeah, there's quite a few, but if we just look at the time of release for these characters, in 2016, we saw 8 new native tier 2s, which was huge, and it actually triggered a lot of players to leave the game because of the influx of super powerful native tier 2s like Thanos and the Black Order. But then Doctor Strange and Odin sort of brought back the balance in favor of the good guys, and they were much more easily farmable. 2017 saw 7 new native tier 2s added, even if you count Wolverine as the epic quest, even though you don't really need bios for Wolverine to rank him up to 6 stars. But then the last 2 years, 2018 and 2019, we've seen a combined 6 native tier 2 characters added to Marvel Future Fight, and again, that includes Deadpool and Mr. Fantastic being characters that you get to 6 stars through the epic quest, so they're not really sacrificial bios. They're just characters that you need to get up to 5 stars in order to advance Deadpool up to 6 stars level 60. Yes, all these characters still need biometrics to get from 60 to 70. I'm fully aware of that, but that feature was only introduced in 2018 to begin with. But you have to acknowledge the fact that in the last 2 years, so 2 full years, we got fewer native tier 2s than we had gotten in one of the previous 2 years. Like 7 was the fewest number of native tier 2s we had, and then 6 divided by 2 is what we've gotten in the last 2 years. So they have drastically reduced the number of native tier 2s, and I think that's a good thing. because instead of having more native tier 2s, which can be overpowered and can sort of, imbalance the game too much, they're now adding level 70, and level 70 does cost a ton of bios. Don't get me wrong, it's 2,403 for a basic character like the Warriors of the Sky. I've memorized that number because I've said it so many times. And then it's double that cost for someone like Thanos or Apocalypse. It's 4,806. That's a ton of bios. Now, hear me out. We are getting more than that per month with the new system. Now, it's a little bit more complicated. Not complicated. It's a little bit more time consuming than it used to be to get bios, but you're definitely getting way more bios now than ever before. And especially for the cost of energy that you are spending. So let's just break it down really quickly to show you guys that we're actually getting like a shit ton of bios now. And not saying they should take bios away, but just saying it's a lot. So from the story mode, if you complete the story mode every single day, and I know it's a huge time sink, but if you do complete the story mode every single day, it's at minimum, it's definitely more than this, but just to lowball it, 120 bios a day. 120 bios a day from the story every single day is 840 bios a week. That's starting to sound pretty nice. If you're desperate for bios, you can farm over 3,300 bios a month from the story mode. That's more than enough to take a character to level 70 instantaneously without considering any other content. Okay, but there's multiple characters added level 70 each update. That's very true. So you factor in dimension missions. Dimension support missions, you're probably getting, again, on the low end, you're getting about 35 bios a day, which is about 245 bios a week, which is more than Shadowland, which is just under 1,000. It's 980 bios a month. Then you factor in, you're going to hate me for this one, but you factor in Danger Room. If you play Danger Room every day, even if you lose every day, you get a minimum of 130 bios a week, which is 520 bios a month. Right there is more than the 4,800 bios you need to get Thanos from level 60 to level 70. Are they introducing a Thanos character every month? No. So you could either do Thanos in that month, or you could do, 2 regular characters like Sharon Rogers and Luna Snow. But then you'll say, oh yeah, Alex, but there are more than 2 characters that get level 70. In this update, we had 9 characters getting their level 70 potential. We had the 4 Warriors of the Sky, and we had the 5 new Avengers. Okay, you're right. What would I say to that? I would say I'm not counting the bios from Alliance Battle. I'm not counting bios from any other game modes like Legendary Battle or Heroic Quest. I'm not counting any of the Epic Quest bios. I'm not counting any of the co-op or World Boss Invasion bios that you could get. And I'm also not counting the fact that you should be smart enough to know that most level 70s added nowadays fucking suck. So it's not really an argument to say we're getting a lot of new level 70s, I need all those bios, when the level 70s that we're getting are Drax and Green Goblin and Amadeus Cho. If you're dumb enough, or if you're naive enough to spend thousands of bios on those characters, then you have to live with those mistakes, and then, you can't really complain and beg for more bios because you're spending them on Sandman and Shang-Chi. I mean, if you spend all your gold re-rolling for an ISO 8 set, and you don't stop yourself at 30, 40, 50 million gold, yeah, you got royally screwed by RNG, but it's also your fault for not settling for another set sooner or later. Sooner or later, you got to cut your losses kind of thing. You got to smarten up a little bit and realize these characters are just not worth investing in. Even the biggest, blubberiest whale, apparently, in Marvel Future Fight, Cynicalex, doesn't have all of those characters at level 70 because I value my bios more than I value having Kamala Khan at level 70 or Silk at level 70. These characters are not going to help me one bit. Now, if they were my favorite character, that's a different story. And I have a ton of level 70s, but this just goes to show you. I bet a lot of people watching had no idea that you can farm almost 5,000 bios a month from just 3 game modes. And again, that doesn't even include all the other game modes that I mentioned that I skipped, just to make a point as to how much we're getting now with these new changes. I included Danger Room just for fun. Danger Room still has a lot of problems, I know. But yeah, I just wanted to bring this up. I also wanted to, I wanted to apologize in case people thought that I was trying to suggest and advocate for the removal of Shadowland bioselectors. I'm not. I'm just saying that it crossed my mind as a possibility if I were to take the devil's advocate position and pretend that I was the Netmarble marketing manager. Would I suggest it to the Netmarble dev team? Yeah, probably. I would, if that's who I was, but I'm not. I'm me. So I'm just giving you guys the information as it pops into my head. And in the future, I'll do a little bit better job of sort of prefacing the video with that information so you guys know and you don't shoot the messenger. That's a common saying, guys, and I'm not even the messenger in this case. I'm the what if guy. I'm not even the messenger. Now, let's get to the real topic. Apologies for the 10-minute intro. You guys in the comments down below, the real video starts at 10:55. This idea actually wasn't brought to my, it wasn't my idea. It was actually someone that posted on Twitter, and I'm so glad that I saw their post. I'm going to show it to you guys right now. I am not going to try and read this guy's name, but he's got the scroll icon. This is actually the in-game scroll icons from the legendary battle for Captain Marvel, which is hilarious. I mean, there's still a possibility. Fingers crossed we could get the scrolls from Captain Marvel. I can't remember the guy's name now. Talos. And we could get maybe Super Skrull, who's amazing. I would love to have that villain. But anyways, I digress. You could throw him a follow if you like his ideas on Twitter. That'd be very nice. But shout out to him. He's the reason behind this idea. Check this out. I'm going to read it verbatim because he said it best. The current story mode is based on the 1 to 8 chapters, which is very true. And I mean, it's true. I just didn't think about it. My guess is that they're working on an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. update because the chapter 9 to 10 in the old story mode before they replaced it were focused on them. Yo, how sick would that be? This idea is so worth its own video, and I apologize that this is piggybacking off the last video. I had to get that off my chest, but damn, this idea, Mr. N, this idea is so good. And then this guy has the perfect response. So you're telling me we could finally see an Asgardian update? Don't give me hope. Exactly. That's exactly what that means. Could you imagine if they rework? And this is where the story mode turns into possibly the premier game mode of 2020 in Marvel Future Fight. Could you imagine they rework the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? You know, Daisy, Deathlock, Phil Coulson, Lincoln Campbell, Lash even. All those characters, they rework them. They give them new uniforms. Instead of being free, you have to pay crystals. You can use them outside of the story mode. They're still usable. They're good uniforms. They're upgrade uniforms. But then you get this selection. You get this motif sort of thing where you can select different attributes. So you have the customization for the story mode and the fun sort of, build your own character. But then the uniforms are also really good for all of these characters, and they're really good reworks because, Captain America and Iron Man didn't need those reworks. But Daisy, Lincoln, all the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they do need those reworks desperately. And so you have the incentive on the part of Netmarble where they can sell these uniforms for crystals and people will buy them because they're reworks. But then you also have the double incentive of them tying into the story and making this new story really fun and diving back into those chapters 9 and 10 where you go and you fight Deathlock and you fight Lash and you fight that chick with the spikes that come out of her body. I can't remember what her name is now. But imagine how amazing that would be. And then the kicker is chapter 11 and 12. Yeah, you remember what those are. Asgard, baby. So you get reworks and new uniforms for Sif, Scourge, Angela, Enchantress, Malekith, Odin, Jane Foster, Hela. Did I say Hela already? How amazing would that be? Marvel Future Fight, listen, I've got $1 million idea for you. If you weren't already thinking of doing this, you have got to do this. Listen, I don't care. Take 6 months. Give it to us in the summer. Give us the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the summer of 2020. Give us Bikini Daisy. Give us Bikini Deathlock. That would be cool. Maybe not Bikini Mankini. I don't know. And then winter 2020. Bring on the wintry gods. Okay? How cool would... Oh my god, that'd be so cool. It would be so dope. You don't need to bring in new characters. You don't need to inflate the game anymore. With characters, but you can still make money. You can still have an amazing update. You can still promote the update. People love to read and explore Marvel stories, so you'll be able to reintroduce the story to players who have never played Marvel Future Fight before. The story is actually so good when the storytelling is done via a game mode and via the presentation like this. This is such a good way of doing storytelling. It'll bring new players to the game, and it will give longtime players the reworks that they've been pining for, that we've been begging for literally years. I mean, I threw that up. The end of 2016, I actually didn't know. I thought it was 2017. The end of 2016 is when we got Odin. So this dude is looking at 4 years without a uniform. If 2020 ends without a uniform for this man, he has gone 4 years. I was gonna call him the Godfather, the Allfather, without a uniform. Meanwhile, Cap is on his 15th uniform, and he's changed bodies 10,000 times. So yeah, I didn't have much to add to it because there really isn't much to add to it. It's a perfect idea. So huge shout out one more time to Mr. N. Just an absolutely chef's kiss. Beautiful golden carrot of an idea. And I really hope that if the Marvel Future Fight devs have not already thought of this, or that they're not taking it seriously and they're not making it a priority, that they do make it a priority if they see that you guys like it enough. I really like the idea, but it all comes down to whether we as a community like the idea. So sound off in the comments. If you like the idea, give the video a thumbs up. Let me know with the comments down below. If you don't like the idea, feel free to thumbs the video down. But either way, hit me up. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.